I've been a crematory technician for 17 years. Riverside Memorial Crematorium, Washington. Christmas morning, 2018. The kind of morning when most people are home with family, but death doesn't honor holidays. We rarely operate on Christmas Day. Standard policy. Facility closed December 24th through 26th. But sometimes circumstances require exceptions. Medical examiner holds, legal complications, refrigeration capacity issues. This was different. The family had requested it specifically. Christmas morning cremation. They'd called 3 days prior, December 22nd, when Mr. Arthur Hensley passed. 86 years old, hospice patient, expected death. His wife, Margaret, had made the request personally. Arthur wanted to be cremated on Christmas morning, she told my supervisor. He was very specific. He said if he died near Christmas, he wanted his cremation on December 25th. He wanted to... Her voice had caught. He wanted to leave on the most beautiful day of the year. My supervisor, Carol, had explained the holiday closure, the additional costs, the staffing challenges. "I'll pay whatever it takes," Margaret said. "Please, it was his final wish, his only request. Christmas morning." So here I was, 9 a.m. on December 25th. The facility quiet, empty except for me. The cremation chamber preheating, the soft hum of equipment, the winter light coming through the high windows. Arthur Hensley lay in the preparation room. Simple cardboard cremation container, white sheet, dignified, peaceful. His files said he'd been a music professor, 43 years teaching at the university. Piano, composition, jazz studies. Retired in 2003. Married to Margaret for 62 years. The notes from hospice mentioned he'd been alert until the end, coherent, lucid. His last words to Margaret were, "I'll see you at Christmas." She thought he meant next Christmas, that he'd rally, hold on through the holiday. He died 6 hours later. The family was scheduled to arrive at 9:30 a.m. Small group, Margaret, their daughter, 2 grandchildren. They'd requested to be present for the beginning of the cremation, to say final goodbyes, to witness Arthur's transition. We have a small chapel attached to the crematorium for these situations. Quiet room, peaceful. We play music during the committal, helps with the atmosphere, provides comfort, covers the industrial sounds of the cremation equipment. Our system is basic. Digital music player connected to speakers, preloaded with 60 hymns and classical pieces. Standard funeral music. Amazing Grace, Ave Maria, Canon in D, the usual selections. I checked the system at 9:15 a.m., everything functioning. I selected Ave Maria, neutral, peaceful, appropriate. Cued it to start when I opened the chamber door. Standard procedure. The family arrived at 9:28 a.m. Margaret looked small, fragile, supported by her daughter on one side, granddaughter on the other. She was maybe 84, white hair, red eyes, but composed, steady. "Thank you for coming in today," she said to me. "I know it's Christmas. I know it's an imposition." "It's no imposition, Mrs. Hensley. I'm honored to help." I led them to the chapel, explained the process. They'd have time for goodbyes. Then I'd begin the cremation. The chamber would be visible through the viewing window for the first few minutes. Then I'd close the shutters for privacy. They could stay as long as they needed. "Arthur would appreciate this," Margaret said softly. "He loved Christmas morning, the quiet, the peace, the feeling of something sacred. Did he have a favorite carol?" We can play something specific if you'd like. Margaret smiled. Small. Sad. He loved Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, the old version from 1944, Judy Garland. Not the updated lyrics, the original ones. He said they were more honest, more beautiful. Until then, we'll have to muddle through somehow. He loved that line. I nodded. I'll see if we have that version in our system. I excused myself, went to the control room, checked our music database. We had Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, but the modern version, Frank Sinatra, 1950s recording with the changed lyrics, Hang a Shining Star Upon the Highest Bough. Not the 1944 original, not Judy Garland. I searched thoroughly, scrolled through every file, every folder. Nothing. I returned to the chapel. I'm sorry, Mrs. Hensley. We have a version of that song, but not the 1944 original. Would you like me to play what we have, or would you prefer something else? Oh, Margaret's face fell. No, that's all right. Arthur would understand. Just something peaceful. Whatever you think is best. I went back to the control room. Selected Ave Maria again. Classic, safe, appropriate. At 9:45 a.m., we began. I wheeled Arthur's container to the chapel, positioned it before the viewing window. The family stood close. Margaret placed her hand on the container, whispered something I couldn't hear. Her daughters said a brief prayer. The grandchildren stood silent, respectful. I opened the chamber door. The heat radiated out. The furnace roared softly, that deep, consuming sound. I pressed play on the music system. Ave Maria began. Operatic, soaring. The chapel filled with sound. But 3 seconds in, the music cut out. Just stopped. Mid-note. Silence. Then static, brief, maybe 2 seconds of white noise. Then music started again, but not Ave Maria. Piano. Soft. Gentle. A simple introduction. 4 notes. Familiar. And then a voice. Female. Young. Clear. Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Judy Garland, 1944. The original version. The version not in our system. I froze. Stared at the control panel. The display showed Ave Maria as the current track, but Judy Garland was playing. Crystal clear, perfect quality, that distinctive 1940s recording texture. Let your heart be light. From now on, our troubles will be out of sight. Margaret gasped. Her hand flew to her mouth. Arthur! Her daughter looked confused. Mom? That's the song, the original, the one he loved. Margaret's voice was shaking. How did you? I didn't. This isn't in our system. I checked. This shouldn't be playing. But it was playing. Filling the chapel. Judy Garland's voice pure and melancholy. The piano soft and aching. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide gay. From now on, our troubles will be miles away. I moved to the control panel, tried to stop the playback. The button didn't respond. Tried to change tracks. Nothing. The system was locked, playing a song that shouldn't exist in our database. Here we are, as in olden days, happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who were dear to us, gather near to us once more. Margaret was crying now, soft, steady tears. He's saying goodbye. He's telling me goodbye. Mom, it's just a coincidence. No! Margaret's voice was firm. Arthur promised. He promised he'd find a way to let me know he was okay, that he'd made it, that he was at peace. This is him. This is his goodbye. I checked the music player. The screen flickered. The track information changed. Now it showed, "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, 1944 original." But that file didn't exist 5 minutes ago. I'd searched. I'd confirmed. It wasn't there. Through the years, we all will be together, if the fates allow. Until then, we'll have to muddle through somehow. The original lyrics, the ones Arthur loved, the honest ones, the ones about separation and longing and hope. I slid Arthur's container into the chamber. The family watched. Margaret's hand pressed against the viewing window. The heat distorted the glass slightly, made everything shimmer. So have yourself a merry little Christmas now. The song ended. Judy Garland's voice faded. The piano played the final notes. Gentle, conclusive, perfect. Then, silence. The music system returned to normal. Ave Maria resumed, mid-note, exactly where it had been interrupted, like nothing had happened. I closed the chamber door, started the cremation process. The family stood in silence, watching, Margaret's hand still on the glass. After 10 minutes, I closed the shutters, gave them privacy. You're welcome to stay as long as you need. I'll be monitoring from the control room. Thank you, Margaret whispered, for whatever you did, however you made that happen. I didn't do anything, Mrs. Hensley. I swear. She looked at me. Her eyes were red, but peaceful. I know you didn't. Arthur did. The family left after 30 minutes. Margaret hugged me at the door. He kept his promise. He let me know. That's all I needed. After they left, I checked the music system again. Thoroughly. Searched every folder, every file, every directory. Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, 1944 original. Was nowhere in the database. Didn't exist. Never had existed. But I'd heard it. Clear as day. Perfect quality. Judy Garland singing the original lyrics, the ones Arthur loved, playing at the exact moment his cremation began. I called Carol, my supervisor, explained what happened. She was silent for a long moment. Electronic glitch, radio interference,
Maybe a nearby station was broadcasting Christmas music. The system picked it up somehow. At 9:45 a.m. on Christmas morning, playing the exact song the deceased loved, the exact rare version? Coincidence. Carol. Ben, I've been in this business 30 years. I've seen things I can't explain. Equipment malfunctions that aren't malfunctions. Sounds that shouldn't be there. Lights that flicker at meaningful moments. I stopped trying to rationalize it. Some things just happen. You believe it was him, Arthur? She paused. I believe love doesn't end at death. I believe people find ways to communicate, to reassure, to say goodbye. Whether that's Arthur, or the universe, or just random chance manifesting his mercy? Does it matter? Margaret got what she needed. Peace. Closure. A final goodbye from her husband of 62 years. She was right. It didn't matter how it happened. It mattered that it happened. I completed Arthur's cremation, processed his remains, put them in a beautiful urn Margaret had selected, dark wood inlaid with music notes, piano keys along the base. The next day, December 26th, Margaret called. I wanted to tell you something about that song. Yes? Arthur and I danced to it December 1943, our first Christmas together. He just proposed. We went to a USO dance. Judy Garland's version played. He held me close and said, "This will be our song. Every Christmas. Forever." Her voice was steady now, peaceful. For 62 years, we played it every Christmas morning while we made breakfast, while we opened presents, while we just sat together. That song was ours, our tradition, our promise to each other. That's beautiful. This was our last Christmas together, his last chance to play our song. And somehow, I don't know how, I don't need to know how, he made sure it played. One last time. One last Christmas morning with our song. She paused. People will say it was coincidence, equipment malfunction, random chance. But I was married to Arthur for 62 years. I know him. I know his love. I know his promises. And I know he kept this one. He said he'd find a way to let me know he was okay, that he'd made it, that he was at peace. And he did, with the song, our song. I still work at the crematorium, still operate cremations, still help families say goodbye to their loved ones. But I've stopped trying to explain the unexplainable. The music that plays when it shouldn't. The equipment that malfunctions at meaningful moments. The coincidences that feel too perfect to be random. Because I heard Judy Garland sing on Christmas morning 2018. I heard the 1944 version of Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas play from a system that didn't contain that file. I saw it appear in the database for exactly 3 minutes and 47 seconds and then vanish completely. And I saw Margaret's face, the peace, the certainty, the love. Arthur Hensley was a music professor. taught for 43 years, understood sound, understood frequency, understood how music communicates what words cannot. And on his final morning,
his Christmas morning cremation, he communicated one last time. He played their song, the 1944 original, the honest lyrics, the version they danced to 62 years ago. He kept his promise. He let her know he was okay. He said goodbye. Through music, through the thing he understood best, through the language that transcends death. I don't know how it happened. I don't know if it was Arthur's spirit, or quantum entanglement, or the universe bending to mercy. I don't know if it was electromagnetic interference, or digital anomaly, or something beyond current understanding. But I know what I heard. I know what played. I know what the system showed for those brief minutes, and I know Margaret got her goodbye, her final dance, her last Christmas morning with their song. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Through the years we all will be together. If the fates allow, until then we'll have to muddle through somehow. So have yourself a merry little Christmas now. Arthur didn't have to muddle through any more. He'd made it to the other side, and he'd let his wife mow. One last time, with the song only they shared, the song that was theirs alone. Every Christmas since 2018, I check our music system, just to see, just to be sure. The 1944 version has never appeared again. It was there for one cremation, one morning, one final goodbye. And then it was gone, because Arthur had said what he needed to say, had kept the promise he needed to keep, had given Margaret the peace she needed to have. Love transcends death. Music transcends silence. And sometimes, just sometimes, the impossible becomes possible when someone needs it most. Merry Christmas, Arthur. You kept your promise, you played your song, you said goodbye, and somewhere Margaret is listening, still dancing, still loving you, still believing in the promise you made 62 years ago. Until then, we'll have to muddle through somehow. But not forever, not alone, because love like that, love that plays impossible songs on Christmas morning, that love doesn't end. It transforms, it transcends, it finds a way, always. I've been a crematory operator for 13 years. Westfield Memorial Crematorium, Ohio. Christmas Eve, 2019. The kind of night when you expect to be home with family, not running a cremation furnace. We don't typically operate on Christmas Eve. The facility closes at 4 p.m. on the 23rd, reopens December 26th. Standard holiday schedule. Most families understand. Death may not observe holidays, but cremations can wait 48 hours. But the phone rang at 9 p.m. on December 23rd. I was already home, already changed into comfortable clothes, already thinking about Christmas morning with my kids. It was my supervisor, Marcus. Ben, I need you to come in tomorrow. Christmas Eve, emergency cremation. Emergency? Marcus, cremations aren't emergencies. We can schedule for the 26th. Family is insisting, authorized by the county. Death occurred this afternoon. They want it done immediately. They're willing to pay triple the standard rate, plus your holiday premium. I hesitated. Triple rate meant serious money. But Christmas Eve? What time? They requested 2 a.m. Christmas morning, technically. 2 a.m.? That's bizarre. Why so late? They said it needs to be done before Christmas Day officially begins, before sunrise. They were very specific. Something about this felt wrong, off, but the money was substantial, and Marcus wouldn't call unless it was legitimate. Who died? Bernard Keller, 79 years old, natural causes, heart attack at home. Family signed all the paperwork. Medical examiner released the body. Everything's legal. They just want it done fast, tonight. And they want to watch? Yes, all of them. The whole family wants to be present. That's unusual, but not unheard of. Some families need to witness, need that finality, that closure. All right. I'll be there at 1:30 a.m. I arrived at the crematorium at 1:25 a.m. Christmas Eve had turned into Christmas morning, December 25th. The facility was dark, except for the security lights. My truck was the only vehicle in the lot. The cremation chamber takes about 30 minutes to preheat. I started the process, checked the equipment, made sure everything was functioning. The furnace roared to life, that deep, industrial sound, like breathing, like something waking up. At 1:50 a.m., headlights appeared. 3 cars. They parked in a line. Doors opened. 7 people emerged. I met them at the entrance. I'm Ben Crawford. I'll be performing the cremation tonight. My condolences for your loss. The eldest, a man maybe 50 years old, tall, thin face, nodded. Thank you. I'm Richard, Bernard's oldest son. This is my family. He gestured. 2 other men, brothers, clearly. Same features, same build. 3 women, wives or sisters, I assumed, and 1 elderly woman, maybe 75, frail, leaning on a cane. Our mother, Clara, Bernard's wife. Clara didn't speak, just stared at me with hollow eyes. Her face was blank. Not grief, not sadness, just empty. If you'll follow me, the viewing room overlooks the cremation chamber. You can witness from there. It's temperature controlled, safe, but you'll be able to see everything. They followed in silence. No conversation, no whispers, just the sound of footsteps and Clara's cane tapping on the floor. The body was already prepared.
Bernard Keller, 79, gray hair, weathered face, dressed in simple clothes, no formaldehyde embalming for cremations. He was in the cardboard cremation container. Standard procedure. I wheeled him to the chamber. The family watched from the viewing room window. 7 faces, pressed close to the glass. Silent. Motionless. The process takes approximately 2 to 3 hours. The chamber reaches 1400 to 1800 degrees Fahrenheit. I'll remain here throughout. If you need anything, we'll stay here, Richard said. His voice was flat, mechanical. All of us, until it's done. That's a long time. You're welcome to wait in the family room. There's coffee. We'll stay here watching. Something in his tone made my skin crawl. This wasn't normal grief. This wasn't normal behavior. But I nodded. All right, as you wish. I opened the chamber door. The heat blasted out. Even from 6 feet away, I could feel it. That intense, consuming heat. The kind that makes you understand how thoroughly fire destroys. I positioned the container, slid it into the chamber, closed the door. The furnace roared. The temperature gauge climbed. 1400, 1500, 1600. And the family watched. All of them. Faces pressed to the glass, not talking, not moving, just watching the flames. Watching the container catch fire, watching it burn. I've done hundreds of cremations. Families rarely stay for the whole process. They watch the beginning, the moment the body enters the chamber, then leave. Go to the family room, grieve privately, come back at the end. But these people stayed. For 20 minutes. 30 minutes. 45 minutes. Just watching. Silent. Motionless. At the 1-hour mark, I checked on them. Can I get anyone water? Coffee? No response. They didn't even look at me. Just kept staring at the chamber. At the flames consuming what was left of Bernard Keller. Clara, the widow, had her hands pressed flat against the glass. Her face was inches from it. Watching intently. Her lips were moving, whispering something I couldn't hear. At the 90-minute mark, the container had disintegrated. The body was breaking down, bones fragmenting in the extreme heat. This is the stage where most people turn away, where the reality becomes too visceral. But they kept watching.
At 2 hours, I began the cooling process, lowered the temperature, prepared to remove the remains for processing. Cremated remains need to be pulverized into fine ash. That's when Richard spoke. He's gone now. Not sad, not relieved, just stating a fact. One of the brothers, the middle one, nodded. Finally, the third brother was crying.
not sobbing, just tears running down his face. He can't hurt anyone anymore. My hands froze on the controls. Clara turned from the window, looked at her sons. We're free. What? I didn't mean to say it aloud, but the word escaped. Richard looked at me. His eyes were cold, empty. Our father didn't want to spend one more Christmas in that house. His voice was completely flat, dead. So we made sure he wouldn't. The room felt suddenly colder. I don't understand. Don't you? The middle brother stepped forward. Every Christmas, every single year, he'd get drunk, get angry, get violent. Our whole lives, Christmas was terror. Christmas was pain. Christmas was blood. He'd wait until we were opening presents, the youngest brother said. His voice was shaking. Wait until we were happy. Then he'd destroy it. Destroy everything. Break the gifts. Break the furniture. Break us. Clara's voice was a whisper. 56 years. 56 Christmases. And every one of them was hell. He died yesterday afternoon, December 23rd. Heart attack in the living room, right where he always put the Christmas tree, right where he'd stand and scream at us, where he'd... His voice broke. Where he'd hurt us. I didn't know what to say, didn't know how to respond. We couldn't bury him, Richard said. Couldn't put him in the ground with a marker, a place to visit, a place that would anchor him to this world. We needed him gone, completely, utterly turned to ash, scattered, erased. And we needed it done before Christmas morning, before sunrise, before December 25th truly began, so he couldn't... He stopped, swallowed. So he couldn't be there, couldn't ruin another Christmas, even in death. Clara moved closer to the window, placed her palm against the glass. The chamber was still glowing, still hot, still containing what was left of Bernard Keller. This is the first Christmas in 56 years, she said softly, that I won't be afraid, that my children won't be afraid, that Christmas will be joy instead of terror. She looked at me. Her hollow eyes were filling with tears. You think we're monsters, watching a husband and father burn, staying here for hours, not crying, not grieving. I didn't say. But you don't understand. We're not watching him burn. We're watching him leave. We're making sure, making absolutely sure he's gone, that he can't come back, can't hurt us anymore, can't destroy one more Christmas, one more memory, one more moment of happiness. I completed the cremation, processed the remains, put them in a temporary container. Simple black plastic, standard issue. Richard took it, held it without emotion. We're going to scatter these tonight, before sunrise, in multiple locations. So there's no grave, no marker, no place he exists. That's your choice, I said quietly. They left at 4:47 a.m. Still dark, still Christmas morning. I watched their cars pull away. 3 vehicles disappearing into the December night, carrying the ashes of a man who'd made 56 Christmases into nightmares. I cleaned the chamber, reset the equipment, locked the facility, drove home. My kids were still asleep. My wife was in the kitchen, starting coffee, getting ready for Christmas morning. "How was it?" she asked. I thought about the Keller family, about 7 people watching flames for 3 hours, about Clara's hollow eyes, about Richard's flat voice, about the youngest brother crying silent tears. Sad. I said. It was sad. But that wasn't the right word. It wasn't sad. It was necessary. It was liberation. It was 7 people making sure a monster couldn't haunt them anymore. I've thought about that night constantly, about the ethics, about whether I should have questioned more, investigated, reported something. But report what? A family legally cremating their father? A widow making funeral arrangements? Adult children witnessing a process they had every right to witness? There was nothing illegal, nothing actionable, just a family wanting their abuser gone. Completely. I researched Bernard Keller afterward, found his name in old newspaper articles, and I thought about Clara. 56 years, 56 Christmases of fear, of pain, of survival. This year, 2019, was her first Christmas of freedom. Her first Christmas without terror. Her first Christmas where she could wake up on December 25th and not be afraid.
Because we turned her husband to ash at 2 a.m., before sunrise, before the holiday truly began. I still work at the crematorium, still perform cremations, still witness families saying goodbye to loved ones. But I've learned something. Not all grief looks like sadness, not all goodbyes are sorrowful, and not all deaths are losses. Sometimes death is release. Sometimes cremation is cleansing. Sometimes watching someone burn is the only way to make sure they're truly gone. The Keller family taught me that. They didn't mourn Bernard. They exorcised him. They erased him. They made sure his final presence on earth was reduced to scattered ash that couldn't be gathered, couldn't be preserved, couldn't be anchored to any place or memory. And they did it before Christmas morning, before another holiday could be destroyed, before another year of fear could begin. I don't know where they scattered his ashes. Richard never told me, but I imagined them, 7 people in the dark, dividing those remains into tiny portions, scattering them in rivers and forests and highways, spreading them so thin that nothing remains, nothing can be found, nothing can be preserved, making absolutely sure he's gone. My last image of them is 7 silhouettes at the viewing window, faces pressed to the glass, watching flames, watching destruction, watching freedom being forged in 1800-degree heat. Not crying, not grieving, just watching, making sure. And when they left, when they took that container of ash and walked into the Christmas morning darkness, Clara paused at the door. She looked back at me, and she smiled. Not a sad smile, not a bitter smile, a free smile, a relieved smile. "Merry Christmas," she said. The first Merry Christmas she'd meant in 56 years. I've never told this story until now. Professional confidentiality, respect for the dead, all the usual reasons. But I think about the Keller family every Christmas Eve, every December 24th when the world is celebrating, when families are gathering, when joy is supposed to be universal. And I remember that for some people, Christmas isn't joy. It's survival, it's fear, it's drama that repeats year after year after year, until someone has the courage to end it. To insist on a 2 a.m. cremation, to watch every minute of the burning, to make absolutely sure the monster is gone. Bernard Keller died on December 23, 2019, but his family started living on December 25, 2019. The first Christmas morning in 56 years that they were truly free. And I helped make that happen. I turned a monster to ash before sunrise, before Christmas, so 7 people could finally celebrate without fear. That's not in any training manual, not in any professional guidelines, but it's the most important cremation I've ever performed, the one that gave a family their first peaceful Christmas in over half a century. The one that proved sometimes fire isn't destruction, sometimes fire is liberation, and sometimes watching someone burn is the only way to be sure you're finally free.